What is good, Defenders Nation, and welcome to episode 382 of the blackest and the goldest podcast you will find on the interwebs. This is Defenders of the Bank, and oh, what a night in Sandy, Utah. Philly and I couldn't have been more wrong. They took all the suspense out of Noche de Carlos Vela coming up on the 21st. An incredible back-to-back performance now for LAFC, where they're hanging 4 on people on the road. You know my voice. It's the Scarf. J.R. Liebert coming to you live from Lawndale and across the interwebs from world-famous Philomonster Studios, wearing his Indiana Hoosier hat tonight, as we're going to talk about an LMU Lion in a second. I give you one, Christian Philemon.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Defenders of the Bank proudly present to you your podcast champions of the world, the gray-haired goose, J.R. Liebert, the platinum-haired flamingo, Philly. We are the Defenders. And if you ain't down with that, we got 2 words for you, and I don't care, NSFW, suck it! And the reason I intro this way, because I've been on somewhat of a wrestling kick as of late. For those of you who remember things that happened during the Attitude Era, you will no doubt recall the beef between Shawn Michaels and Bret the Hitman Hart, and the one comment that was said on Monday Night Raw that caused the entire animosity between the two. And it kind of ties into LAFC. You ready?
Okay.
You know we've all been having some sunny days. There you go. I got the scarf. Anyways, if you know, you know. If you don't know, it doesn't flipping matter, because I felt like being WWE-like anyway. Yeah, Defenders, we have been having some sunny days here. We've had some records broken. I think the most important thing that's happening is that we're all smiling and we're all having a damn good time, considering the turbulence that's going on in the world today, in this atrocity, in this horror story that we call the United States. At least we truly are living some happy, carefree, and sunny days.
Listen, it has been an incredible ride since Son Heung-min has joined LAFC. None more so than these last 2 matches. 4 goals in Santa Clara, California, 4 goals in Sandy, Utah, and oh my goodness, all 8 of them coming off the feet of either Son Heung-min or Denis Bouanga. Philly and I were talking about this as a lead up to Noche de Carlos Vela, which is, of course, the home match against Real Salt Lake on the 21st. We thought, wouldn't it be poetic? Wouldn't it be great if Denis Bouanga scores 1 in Santa Clara and 1 in Sandy, Utah, and comes in just 1 goal away? And then we thought, okay, all right, maybe after the hat trick in San Jose, Santa Clara, maybe he won't score against Real Salt Lake, and it'll be on Carlos Vela's night that he'll pass Carlos Vela. Well, Philly, all the history was made on the road. Unfortunately, the fans at BMO couldn't see number 93 or number 94. But all that means, Philly, is that they are going to come into BMO Stadium on September 21st to honor Carlos Vela, and the attack is going to be roaring. And unfortunately for Salt Lake, they're going to be down a player.
Down a player indeed. And yeah, we don't have to worry about Denis Bouanga trying to get over the hump. That is the Carlos Vela mountain in front of Carlos Vela. He's already done it. So he's solidified himself. To address Andres in the chat, if we had a choice, would we build a statue, retire his number, or name the stadium after a Bouanga or Vela? I'll have to say this. A statue for Vela, no retiring of the number. And in terms of naming rights for the stadium, it would cost him $101 million, because $100 million is what it cost BMO over the course of 10 years. So when it comes down to this, we're not Napoli, where we're going to be naming our stadium Diego Maradona this or Carlos Vela that. No, it's all about the cheddar, and that costs a lot of money. And for you Laker fans out there, you would know that Dr. Jerry Buss was the pioneer when it came to stadium naming rights. The Great Western Forum, that was named after a bank. And while it kind of bleeds into the fact that it is in the West, truly Dr. Bus needed to get some naming rights going because he needed to pay a lot of money to make sure that he didn't go bankrupt after selling the Chrysler building, borrowing money from his ex-wife, and then buying the Lakers. So naming rights, $101 million. That's the only way that would have that. You have a dollar, Andres, I'll raise you two.
And
I'll raise you two.
Philly, you and I have talked about this, how in soccer, you can't retire numbers. In fact,
they seem to be doing a lot of that in the NWSL lately.
I mean, my deal is this, though, guys. It's a rite of passage, right? To earn the number 10 shirt in Argentina or on almost any club, or the 9 or the 6, whatever it might be. So many of these clubs, Philly, that we have talked about are steeped in tradition based on the next person up to get the number 10 or the number 9, like we were talking about. I think it is absolutely ridiculous that American soccer teams are starting to retire jerseys. Now, look, in the case of something awful happening where a player passes away mid-season or something, and you want to put that number in the rafters, you want to make sure that number never gets worn again because of what that player meant to that club, that city, that organization. However, sure, those are special circumstances. Obviously, Philly, you and I are very familiar with that, with out in Ontario, with Kyrell and his number being retired. But it's just so silly to me that they're hanging these numbers in the rafters, especially in the MLS where players don't have long careers. Look, if Chris Wondolowski, if San Jose decides nobody is ever going to wear number 8 again, I guess that's okay. Maybe whatever number Nick Raimondo wore for Real Salt Lake, I guess that's okay. But like, could you ever see the number 10 being retired just because Carlos Vela wore it? I couldn't.
I mean, if we talk about the grand scheme of things, I mean, think of all the number 7s that were at Manchester United, going back to the days of George Best, Eric Cantona. Obviously, you've got David Beckham. I mean, so many, Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, so many different players. Look, that's a very American thing to do. And to your point, yes, if something absolutely horrific happens, that's the thing. You maybe retire it there. NWSL doesn't seem to have a problem with that. Alex Morgan, I think, got her jersey retired at San Diego FC. And I remember watching something where they're like, yeah, you know, all the history there. Like, what the hell are you talking about history there? There is no history there. And I think the Portland Thorns also made an announcement that they were going to retire a kid. Look, it is what it is. It doesn't matter. One thing that we know for sure is that if there's anybody that's going to get a statue at LAFC, it certainly has to be Carlos Vela. The gamble that he took to come over here at a point in his career where he could have easily spent some time overseas. He did it. He gambled. It paid off. He goes down as a legend. Sure, he played at some pretty good clubs. Yeah, he had a nice career at Real Sociedad. Obviously, he did some things with the Arsenal when he was a teen. But at the end of the day, I think he cements his legacy as a member of LAFC because he truly was the trailblazer, the founding father, and whatever name that you want to throw out there. That's the most important player in the history of LAFC. And then right next to him, the man who just surpassed him with the 94th goal in 40 games less-ish than what Carlos did at Denis Bouanga, my favorite player of all time. And I don't care if you're sick of me saying this. Find me another player in our LAFC history. Find me one. I'll wait. That's had the type of passion that Denis has had, minute to minute, box to box. Nobody plays with more intensity, passion, and desire to win than Denis Bouanga. If we can clone him and use some of those attributes to other field members in the midfield, if we had a midfield made up of players that had Denis Bouanga's heart, and we would be so unbelievably tough to beat. Denis is one generational talent for us, but as is Carlos Vela, and I'll leave it at that.
Listen, I'm going to throw it out there, Philly. There was one player. We just never got to see him. It never got to happen. Alejandro Guido could have been that guy. He just never got a chance to take the pitch. So,
I mean, you could argue the same thing about Callum Malice. You could talk about Josh Perez.
They all played a little bit. Wait a minute. They all played. Alejandro Guido never got to play. All right. Look, it's been a lot of fun. We're going to wax poetic plenty on Carlos Vela over the next couple of episodes. We are obviously going to wax poetic plenty on Son Heung-min and Denis Bouanga. in just a little bit. Let's do a quick This Day in LAFC history and news and notes, because we did have a couple of big pieces of news come across in the last few days. This Day in LAFC history, the match, of course, played on September 17th, 2025. Let's go all the way back to September 17th, 1997. Happy birthday, James Murphy. Talk about a player who didn't play much for the 2018 inaugural team.
Yeah.
That's right. James Murphy, who we wound up playing against at Monterey Bay FC in the Open Cup. James Murphy was on that team, that Monterey Bay team.
Did he decline an interview from us?
Yeah, I think Eldon and the kids ousting James Murphy there in Monterey Bay. And then on September 17th, 2016, 2 years before we would ever play a match, it was the first ever black and gold rally held at Boomtown Brewery in downtown LA. That is your This Day in LAFC history moment. And Philly, couple of players going to be around a little bit longer in black and gold, both Sergi Palencia and Timothy Tillman signing new contracts. Both players signed through 2028 now. Sergi with options in 29 and 2030, which just sounds like so far in the future for some reason. And Timothy Tillman with an option for 2029. Philly, Sergi has been our best defender for the last 2 years. This one's massive.
I mean, Sergi's been not only one of our best defenders, one of our best players. I mean, he's still part of the attack, focusing in as an outside back. He very much is on a part of the counters that we have. I mean, heck, he was part of so many scenarios, successful scenarios from LAFC. I mean, he's a sure thing. He is as steady as it gets. Even steadier than Steady Eddie prior to him busting his knee. Sergi Palencia is a very important player, and just to have him locked down, that's incredible. I mean, at 29 years old, obviously there's still opportunity for him to go in other places if he truly wanted to, but it goes to show you how much he's enjoyed being here and how much he believes in the project that is LAFC. The thing I find the most interesting is going forward. I mean, there are a lot of question marks. We don't know who's going to lead the team at the end of the season. And the fact that he still wanted to stick around and be a part of this speaks volumes as to what he believes LAFC is capable of. So I'm thrilled that he's a part of this. And look, with Timothy Tillman, I'm going to say I'm mildly surprised. I mean, there have been some instances where we watched Timothy Tillman, and I'm going to say he's not as consistently as a higher performer as a Sergi Palencia, but he's put up some good numbers. The only thing that we need to see improving from Timothy is his ability to score goals and be threatening in the box. But I mean, we have two key players that have started a significant amount of games. Tillman, in his 80 plus games played, he's started over 70 of them. So obviously for him to be part of the 18 and start that many says what the technical staff believes he is capable of. And we at least have a midfielder that we know of for down the road, and obviously Palencia. But if I had to compare and pick between the two, Palencia the bigger signing, and I'm really thrilled he's still a part of the club.
I'll say this about Timmy Tillman. Yes, a little inconsistent at times. You're not sure what you're going to get for him, and you really were hoping to get something a little more offensive out of our midfield. And I think now that we have, honestly, with the addition of Matthew Chonier, I think we've seen quite a bit. But this new little wrinkle, and MLSsoccer.com keeps calling it a 4-3-3. My eyeballs keep telling me that what I'm seeing out there on the pitch in these last two road matches is a 5-3-2. I don't see a 4-3-3. I see a 5-3-2. Steve Cherundolo, tell me why I'm wrong. But that wrinkle,
if we're going to talk about eyeballs, what I'm seeing on you is a Vancouver Whitecaps.
No, it's that.
I know.
Pixels shirt. Hold on a minute. Let me get my point across first, sir. This 5-3-2, where Timothy Tillman is able to kind of drift in between that front line between Denis Bouanga and obviously Son Heung-min, that's been kind of fun. He kind of drifts back sometimes as not like a CDM, but like an outside defensive midfielder. It's kind of an interesting term that they're using. Same thing with Eddie Segura, right? He's kind of drifting between that fifth man on the back line and a midfielder. It's this really fluid, I think Coach Ted Lasso called it total football, right? It's this real, I'm going to just piss off everybody every time I bring up Ted Lasso. It's really fun. It's just fun to see this new wrinkle with Timmy Tillman. And I think it allowed them. Yeah, Rob Risley is saying sometimes it's a 3-5-2. What the hell? When you bring
it's
both
fluid. That's what it really is. It's all fluid.
Yeah, exactly. Total football. Watch Ted Lasso. He'll teach you all about it.
You know what I just realized, and it's kind of funny.
What's that?
I was this summer on the campus of Wichita State because I was calling the games for the TBT, the Wichita Regional.
Yes.
I learned a lot about Wichita State athletics while I was there, naturally.
Okay.
Ted Lasso, in the beginning of it, he was the head coach of the Wichita State football team.
Yep.
That hasn't been a thing in over 40 years. And I didn't even realize it until I stepped foot on that campus. It's quite a sad story. A lot of people talk about the whole We Are Marshall thing. Look, Wichita State had the same thing as well, but that's not the reason why the program folded. Anyway, I digress. Carry on.
Hey, look, Philly, everybody knows I went to Loyola Marymount University. You're going to hear about it later on in this episode. They still sell like the dumbest t-shirts of all time when they say LMU football undefeated since 1973 or whatever, because they haven't had a team since 1973. It's the dumbest thing ever. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, real quick.
Rob was Marshall, Vukovic. Who was on that championship runner-up team, played at UCR the season before. So, you know what? Did I lose a bet to you? Rob, I know I lost a bet to you regarding, I think it was college soccer. Remind me if I paid my debt. And if I didn't, remind me what I need to do in order to pay that debt.
Last little bit of news and notes. Sonny named player of the match day for match day 34. No surprise there from Major League Soccer. Philly, the LAFC 2 free fall kind of continues. They lose 5-3 at Portland Timbers 2. Adam Saldana, who, of course, is a member of the senior squad, and former short-termer Matt Evans both scored for LAFC 2. But unfortunately, again, they lost 5-3 to Timbers 2. El Tráfico Radio, shout out Loyola. There you go. Next
Talking Marymount or high school?
I don't know. Either one. He just said shout out Loyola. If it's Loyola High School, I went there too, so that's fine. LAFC 2's next match is at home on Friday, tomorrow, September 19th at 7 p.m. They take on Real Monarchs, and just 3 matches remain in the MLS Next Pro regular season. Philly, you took that picture in a Marshall shirt. I remember it.
I did?
That was paying your bet. Yeah, you paid. You took a picture. I have it somewhere on my phone. Yeah. Angel City.
That was a while ago, and yeah.
Yeah, just a reminder for all your ACFC needs. Follow We Are Angel City on social media. I don't know who they should follow now for other Angel City needs, but that's always fun. Philly, we're going to do this twice, so we might as well get this one over with, although a ton of history, again, made in this match in Sandy, Utah. LAFC takes on Real Salt Lake for the first of 2 times in 5 days. A little home and home, little playoff feel here against Real Salt Lake. Philly, it's LAFC's 28th match in the regular season, Salty's 29th match. LAFC coming in 5th, Real Salt Lake 10th. But the one thing that Real Salt Lake has a problem doing all season, Philly, is scoring goals.
You're not wrong about that, and they don't have very many goal scorers. We're going to talk about history real quick. For those who weren't part of One More Sleep, we have to talk about the series history overall. LAFC 13-4-1 overall in all competitions against Real Salt Lake, 11-3-1 in MLS play. We already talked about the standings. Look, the run of form from LAFC against RSL, not the greatest up until this last game. The last time we played one another, it was a draw back last July. The time before that, if you remember, it was the Snow Globe game where we saw the first orange ball in LAFC history, and we got our butts handed to us, pummeled 3-0, and we complained about the weather. Well, it was a bunch of Colombians from RSL that scored against us, so nothing to complain about there. In fact, the last time that we beat RSL prior to the most recent match, you'd have to go back to August 8th, 2023, when we beat them 4-0. So it had been some time. Now, you talk about the fact that RSL is not very good at scoring goals. 30 goals over the course of the regular season. That is not a lot, and they only have one player that has scored more than 4 goals the entirety of the season, and that, my friends, is the pink-haired Diego Luna. I want to give a shout-out to our graphic designer. Dexter sent a hilarious photo to Scarf and I about Diego Luna basically being Gem in the holograms, and the reason I didn't comment on that, because a couple of years ago, I, too, had pink hair, so I will not make fun of Diego Luna for that, but he is the focal point of the offense. 9 goals, 5 assists on the season, and he certainly, improved upon his tattoos with all the money he's been making as of late.
Yeah, look, U.S. men's national team darling Diego Luna, if he can keep it up through the World Cup cycle, great. That's yet to be seen. For LAFC, of course, no surprise, but Lorenzo De La Valle, Aaron Long, and Igor Jesus all ruled out. And though they were questionable, we did hear, of course, from Steve Cherundolo that neither Jeremy Abobis nor Nathan or Daz would be available as well. Philly, Pablo Mastroeni, the head coach of Real Salt Lake, and Steve Cherundolo, the head coach of LAFC, no doubt good friends, teammates on the back line for dozens of U.S. men's national team games. And Pablo Mastroeni just passed the 300 games coached mark. He played in 367 of them as a player in Major League Soccer. We're talking about a player who is nearing 700 matches in Major League Soccer between coaching and playing. Pablo Mastroeni, one of the legends of Major League Soccer. No?
I mean, he's been playing a while, sure. He's been coaching a while, sure. Would I put him on a Mount Everest? Not a Mount Everest, Mount Rushmore. Oh, sugar, and this is only Topo Chico.
Listen.
The numbers speak for themselves, yes. But like, I guess just my brain doesn't function back to the time when guys like him and Greg Vanny and honestly Alexei Lalas when they were playing. That version of MLS was just so far gone from my memory bank that it just doesn't hit me. So I hear that Mastroeni as a legend. I'm like, wait, what? But it's true. As Kurt Angle would say, it's damn true. And so that's all I have to say about that.
I mean, what, 31 years? How many matches have there even been in MLS, right? If you figure there's 30, I guess, per season, right? Then you're looking at a player could maybe have been a part of 900 matches, and Peter Vermees was probably a part of 805 of them, right? Like, there aren't many guys who could say 31 years in that they've been a part of 700 Major League Soccer matches.
You're right. You're right.
I don't know.
I just think of MLS 1.0 and it just.
Oh,
I would have been here if it was still MLS 1.0.
Yeah, MLS 1.0 is an absolute joke with those stupid shootouts and everything else. That's I almost wish those never happened. All right, Philly, shall we get into the lineups? We're kind of going off the rails a little bit here.
We normally do that. And just to go off the rails one more time, those Topo Chico hard seltzers did something to my internal system. To now, I can't even drink hard seltzers anymore. Between those and the Coronas, not the Corona beers, the Corona hard seltzers. I drank so many of those during COVID. I really do think I caused some bad internal bleeding that hasn't stopped.
How does a hard seltzer cause internal bleeding? I like it. All right.
Alcohol.
They keep announcing all kinds of different lineup formations, but for LAFC, but
keep that thought there. I want to address that too. Sorry, go on.
Oh boy, it did look like a 4-4-2 for Real Salt Lake, beginning with their keeper Rafa Cabral, the only player to play every minute this season for Real Salt Lake. I think there were plenty of times where he wishes he wasn't playing every single minute in this match against LAFC. On the back line, Alex Catranes, Brian Vera, Justin Glad, and the former U.S. men's national team darling DeAndre Yedlin, Diego Luna, funny. Brian Ojeda, Emeka Anelli, and the 18-year-old kid Xavier Goso, who scored an they called it a golazzo, but it was, I don't know how they were, a gozolazzo or something, whatever it was. That was a damn good goal from an 18-year-old. And then up top for most of the match anyway was Victor Olatunji and Ruan Cruz. Philly, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that whenever the next penalty shot is for Real Salt Lake, it won't be taken by Cruz. In the 18, we had Johnny Russell, Sam Junqua, Tyler Wolf, and Willie Agata, all MLS veterans. And number 92 in your program, but number 1 in my heart over on Real Salt Lake for this match, that would be Noel Caliscan of Loyola Marymount University, who actually played pretty well in some limited minutes.
I always appreciate a good shout out to the collegiate players. I do enjoy college soccer. I went to a college soccer school. That, my friends, that's 8 national titles at Indiana, most out of anything in their program. Basketball too. Basketball only has 5. Maybe football will get one, at least a bowl game. They had to get by Illinois this weekend. College soccer is fun, and for those of you, come on out to the UCR Soccer Stadium when you get a chance. Scarf, the Highlanders are playing LMU on the 22nd. I think you should probably go out to that. But come hang out with yours truly, Christian Filliman, better known as Philly, along with LAFC Laugh. We're calling all the Highlanders soccer games this year. And then I got basketball and baseball. Anyway, that's my little promo for UC Riverside. College soccer. It's great. LAFC 4-3-3 in between the sticks. Hugo Lloris, no surprise there. Ryan Hollingshead and Kosi Tafari. Ryan, more debates on terms of how to pronounce last names. We've heard Porteous. We've heard Porteous. I'm going to go with Porteous. Sergi Palencia, Eddie Segura, Marky Delgado. Another one. I called him Chonies in the beginning of the year, and I'm so sorry. Matthew Chouanier. Did I say it right? I did.
That was great.
Thank you. Denis Bouanga, Son, and Tillman. So there's no way this was a 4-3-3. Just saying. Players that would come off of the Pine Pony. Artem Smolyakov. I love this kid. The near goal that he almost had against RSL. Oh, that would have been a thing of beauty. Yaya Boa, David Martinez, Ryan Raposo, and Andy Morin. Now, the reason why I got caught on this one, Scarf. Years ago, I mean, pre-Panda, hell, pre-Indiana, I dated a girl that played softball at Hofstra, and her name was Christine Moran. Now, by dating, I loosely use the word dating. Whatever you could have said Netflix and chill was back in like 98, we'll call it, I don't know, drinking Old English and hanging in a park. Like that's what we were doing. And her name was Moran. So forgive me for pronouncing it that way. I was asked if she was Irish. I said, I have no clue. Family probably came in on the Mayflower because they'd been here for generations. So I do apologize to anybody who was offended by the fact that I called them Moran. I blame this girl, Christine, in 98. Andy Moran, and that is your LAFC lineup.
Old English and a park. What is happening?
What? I mean, what, you never drank OE and hung out in a park?
No, listen, it was Boone's Farm back in the day for us.
Zima.
It was the dugouts in Manhattan Beach, all the different ball fields there. That's where we hung out. Oh, my goodness. Boone's Farm, Fuzzy Naval. Boone's Farm. It was like, I don't know, a couple bucks. Good Lord, the stuff we did back in the day. Philly, before anybody could even sit in their seat, honestly, LAFC absolutely 100% should have been down 1-0. RSL led this beautiful 3v2 break, but I don't know how, but Luna could not get much on that shot, and it trickled just wide. Philly, there's no doubt in my mind that they were trying to pull an us right before we pulled an us lately, and we should have been down 1-0. That's the bottom line.
With Luna, it was certainly a full moon as he was throwing howlers way beyond the goal. He was completely off Star Wars Stormtrooper style. But these past couple of games with LAFC scoring faster than, well, family friendly. I'm not going to say the next thing. But it's incredible that LAFC has gotten on the scoreboard real quick, again, because history speaks loudly. Anytime the black and gold score first, there is a solid 90-ish% chance that they are going to win the game. Another amazing start. Bested RSL in transition right out of the gates. And Sonny, at that point, 4 goal contributions in 6 matches. And you got to give a shout out to Tillman, who dishes to the left wing. Timothy Tillman. Maybe his play against RSL solidified his contract. I don't know. But they beat Cabral. Boo, and not the Cabral that was once on the Galaxy, obviously, but a solid start. And I could get used to this kind of beginning to a lot of games. I know we're all going to be looking for a quick start at BMO Stadium. At the very least, maybe all the seats can be filled before the whistle blows because of how successful LAFC has been scoring in less than 180 seconds.
Yeah, look, it has been a massive thing that LAFC has been able to get out to these big leads. And look, luckily, Philly, it's not just one big lead or one big goal. it is a second. Now, first and foremost, let's talk about a fantastic save by Hugo Lloris in the 15th minute. There was this beautiful play. This header gets bounced down, and he's right there at that near post. He makes a diving save. It was a little awkward, but he corralled it. Everything looked bad. I mean, everything looked bad for a second, but he was fine. I thought Hugo Lloris was absolutely fantastic in this match yet again. We saw it time and time again. He is exactly where he needs to be. And look, Ryan Hollings said, I'm not sure he thought he was going to get an assist on that nice little tap over pass to Sonny. And honestly, I didn't think it was the best of shots from Sonny, but sometimes it's better to be a little lucky and put it in an absolutely perfect spot. And that's exactly what Sonny did, 25 yards out or so? Maybe Cabral got caught a little flat-footed. He was caught on one foot, that's for sure. If you watch the save, he jumps off with a 1 foot instead of two. But Philly, we're 16 minutes in, and I was there in Santa Clara. Obviously, neither of us were there in Sandy, Utah. But this is kind of getting scary by LAFC.
Yeah, it was Sonny in Sandy, no question about it. A brace. That would now be his 5th goal contribution in 6 matches. Amazing. He has been such a difference, not a revelation, because obviously we knew the kind of player that we were getting. The question always is, are they going to fit the system? And we all were feeling the burn of Olivier Giroud, and this experiment has not failed yet. And honestly, what it's done to all of us, it's made us happy. I think it was Gomez in the chat that mentioned Sonny's addition has made a lot of the Dolo out people quiet. I would agree. And I think the most important thing that you're seeing on the pitch is the fact that the entire team looks like they're having fun. Despite what's going on, they are having fun and having a good time. Sure, because winning is fun, but they're playing for each other. Sonny just clearly changed the entire chemistry in the locker room. And the minute he started to acclimate, we've just been darn good. And we're continuing being successful on the road, which was huge. Again, no losses since April the 5th, where we fell down to the Houston Dynamo, but up 2-0 against really salty Lake. Dream start once again.
Yeah, and look, I'm going to talk more at the end of the match about LAFC's set-piece defense, corner kick defense. But I just thought there were a few times in the first half where it was a little iffy. I was a little nervous on some of these corner kicks. And other than that, honestly, Philly, the last 20, 25 minutes of the half was pretty much a boring, let's just see the rest of it out.
Yeah, I'm looking over at my notes. Look, there were some opportunities for Real Salt Lake.
Sure.
And look, I mean, LAFC had an opportunity in the 26th minute as Sonny was looking for his German hat trick. I mean, Denis found him, but Sonny had a shot blocked. And once again, to teach y'all what a German hat trick is, right? Germans like to do things the hard way. I've said it on a podcast before, but I know somebody like Gomez, for example, is back in the chat, El Trafico Radio. I love you guys being in the chat. I hadn't seen y'all in a while, so I'm going to explain what a German hat trick is. A German hat trick is 3 consecutive goals without anybody else scoring in between in one half. That's what a German hat trick is. Something Sonny would know about because he played in the Bundesliga. We posted that video of him getting by Steve Cherundolo when he was a part of Hanover 96 and scoring a goal bottom right corner. If you haven't seen it, go to, I think we have it on our Twitter, probably have it on our Instagram too, but that is what a German hat trick is. So we go into the half with only an XG of 0.37, believe it or not. We had 4 shots, 2 of them on target, and both of them were goals. 100% efficiency when shooting on target. That's a pretty darn good stat. So we begin the second half with some action and Scarf.
Yeah, Philly, I do want to mention, I forgot one thing, that beautiful save by Hugo Lloris as Marky Delgado cleared it out to the top of the box, but Brian Ojeda.
The 45th plus 2 minute. Yeah.
Yeah, just put his laces into one, and Hugo had to make that leaping save high above. Hugo's just so good. I do want to make one quick comment, Philly, at the half.
Another one.
At the half, I thought 58-42 in terms of possession, it felt like LAFC was almost conceding too much possession, but I mean, they're up 2-0. So I don't know. I didn't like 58-42. I thought we were maybe giving up a little bit too much possession. Philly, Ryan Hollingshead, unfortunately, got caught. It looked like a knee more than a trip, where he takes out RSL player in the box. No argument from Ryan Hollingshead whatsoever. No argument from LAFC. Referee points right to the spot. And look, this is a club that has Diego Luna. This is a club that has a bona fide alpha out there on the pitch. Gomez, we love you so much. This is a player who can't let Ruan Cruz take this penalty kick. I don't care what Diego Luna is doing. I don't care what Pablo Mastroeni is doing. Those two guys need to get together and say, excuse me, sir, no. And based on the way that Cruz, Park in the chat, we're both over 40. Based on the way that Cruz took that corner kick, Philly, I mean, that was awful.
The stutter did get Hugo, though. I mean, he kind of shook him in his boots. But there's no way that if you tried to replicate that, could you do it again? The way it dinked off of the post and went right to Hugo blew my mind. I mean, he basically got gift wrapped a save, if you will. It was his friend Charlie Crossbar that came to his rescue. It doesn't get any easier for Hugo to make a save, even though he got shaken out of his boots. That was a terrible, terrible penalty kick by Cruz. And yeah, he shouldn't be allowed to take him like that ever again. I hate that stutter. To me, you figure out what you're going to do, and then you just launch it. The pressure is always going to be obviously on the goal scorer, because no one expects the keeper to make the save. That is a huge circumference, a huge space that has to be blocked. And there's no man in this world big enough to just sit there, stand, and not do anything. Cruz, that was piss poor. And that honestly, probably was the death knell. Because had they scored there, now that 2-0 lead doesn't look so comfortable anymore. 2-1, the momentum falls in the direction of RSL, but it didn't happen. We avoided a bullet.
Yeah, we avoided one, but then RSL avoided one right back, right? Just a minute later, you got Sonny banging one off the post. Even the announcers, man. Lloyd Sam was great, by the way, the color guy on the broadcast.
They call him an analyst now, Scarf.
Oh, sorry, the analyst there on the broadcast. He was a former MLS player for a long time. And he was kind of living and dying by the way that Sonny was playing. It was really fun to hear the team there on the broadcast. But Sonny banging one off the post as he was sitting on that hat trick. You could tell they wanted the hat trick. And then just 5 minutes later, Timothy Tillman. Tillman has looked really good in whatever the hell this formation is, with that nice ball back to Sonny and another good save. Another good save by Cabral in the 62nd minute. And look, in case anybody wasn't sure, Philly, in the 65th minute, that was Sergi Palencia. Sergi Palencia, who was tracking all the way back to head that ball out for an RSL corner after some terrible offense from LAFC, gave the ball right back to RSL. Palencia has been incredible. I'm going to back away because all I'm going to do is mention in the 68th minute, Philly, we got Johnny Russell coming on, Sam Junkwa coming on, and number 92 from LMU, Noel Caliscan, checking in to the match.
You know, Lunch, I do want to go back for a second. Reading Lunch Special Geo's comment. Ryan Hollingshead is not horrible, but we didn't really comment on how that penalty came about. That really wasn't the best play. Not incidental, not great. And he has had a tendency to make some of these rough fouls in the box. I just don't think he's horrible.
Well, and I do want to say, I've gone back and looked at some of these bad fouls, right? And what happens with Ryan Hollingshead, and I think he might be the first to tell you this, and I'm interested to ask him about this maybe at some point when it's appropriate, like in a press conference or something. Notice when Ryan Hollingshead is defending you 1v1 on the outside, he's been very, very, very good. It's when he tracks into the middle and has to make some of these plays where maybe he shouldn't be trying to make some of these plays, where he tracks into the middle is where he kind of gets himself in trouble sometimes. That's
Yeah.
how I feel.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. All right. We got to talk about Gozo's.
Oh,
Gozo the Gozer.
wait. We got to talk about one thing first. I got to
What?
ask you, has it ever happened faster in LAFC history? They held up the board coming into the match, number 19, Andy Morin, and like checking in, he gets a yellow card. Like he was on the pitch 12 seconds, 12, and he got that yellow card. I think that might be the fastest yellow card in history for an LAFC player checking into the match.
Yeah, don't ask ChatGPT about a stat that soon. I learned that one recently in a presentation. I leaned a little too heavy on ChatGPT for something, and I got a little burned. Anyways.
Well, wait, I'm curious. What was it?
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
After.
It doesn't matter.
I want to know.
These are not your droids. Move along.
Wait, what was that? The Timu version?
Along.
Was that the Timu version of that line? These are not your droids.
Well, what do you say? What are you saying, Scarf? All right. Gozo the Gozerian Golasso. What a shot by the teenager. That was a goal of the week candidate. You're still laughing. In fact, you're turning as red as my Indiana hat is. It's not that funny. Oh, come on. You and your Vancouver Whitecap style LAFC kid. That stopped you from laughing. I know you don't like it when I say that. Do you, La Bufanda? These crests on the center right by the solar plex. I don't know. I prefer them by the heart. Can we talk about the goal, dude?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you okay? He's getting all emotional. The goal by Gozo was just laughing. Look, I can't pay attention if you're laughing. The goal was incredible. In the 76th minute, that was as pretty as it gets. That kid is highly talented. And if I'm not mistaken, came up from RSL's youth academy. He upped the rankings, making it to the first team and scoring a goal like that. That's the first thing to be shown on anyone's highlight reel. That was a jaw-dropping goal by Gozo.
Yeah, they were talking about the the under 19 U.S. youth national team, right? And where Gozo might fit in, and how both of the commentators last night said they would be shocked if Gozo is not on that team. I think there's no doubt. After that, Philly, the craziest stat for me, this is the 29th game of the season for Real Salt Lake, and that was just their 12th second half goal. Just 12 second half goals, which is unreal. Philly's, I think, new favorite player, though, on LAFC is Artem Smolyakov. And Philly, that shot, they said it was a cross, but there's no way in hell that was a cross. That was a shot. He was aiming for that top corner from distance, Philly. And Artem almost got it in the 79th minute.
Oh, my God. It was on point. It had the distance. It was making the curl. Upper right corner. But Cabral got a good hand on it and a good read because he almost was made to look like Mierda. What a fantastic shot by Smolyakov. That would have been... You remember a couple of years ago when like Ismail Tajuri-Strati had like the greatest goal at LAFC did like during the regular season? That had the potential to be one of those as well. But Cabral gets his hands on it, denying Smolyakov what would have been something we would have forever remembered and solidified him as a stud of a player. But it just didn't happen. But the player that seriously is solidified as a stud for LAFC is, the man who had the hat trick. Let's talk about the 82nd minute, Scarf. You can talk about the goal. I want to talk about the goal celebration.
I think we'll both talk about both, knowing the two of us. But
we should try the goal celebration at the tailgate. You and I.
Oh my God! All right, have an EMT standing by.
Well, I'm married to a nurse. You know this.
There you go. Yes, this is perfect. I don't know that I have seen a more unselfish play in the history of LAFC, maybe except for the very famous Carlos Vela taps it over to Fito Zelaya so Fito could have a goal for LAFC. It was very clearly a, here you go, we got to make everybody happy kind of a thing. This was a potential Golden Boot winner, an unquestioned alpha goal scorer, the best goal scorer this league has seen over the last 3 seasons, saying, no, 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 don't put me first. Don't let me get a little bit closer to my 3rd straight 20-goal season, which has never happened. Don't let me get 1 goal closer to Sam Surridge on 21 goals for the Golden Boot. Let me get Son his hat trick. And it was absolutely an incredible. He saw Sonny the whole way. I want to know if Sonny was saying something as he was making this run. Sonny, by the way, since the run started from behind the midfield line, right?
He could be offside,
right? That was a big one. I forgot that for a second, and then realized, oh wait, yep, that's a rule. And just the way these two, Philly, have figured things out with each other, the world-class play that we are seeing. He drops it off for Sonny. Sonny, I said last match, I don't think he'd have an easier goal because he had a little tap in. This one was just as easy.
I don't know about easy.
the chemistry there on the pitch, Philly, was unreal. And then they got into each other's celebration, which I thought was incredible.
It was beyond endearing. The Sonny rolled and then Denis rolled. I think there was somebody in the chat mentioning how that Denis needs to teach Sonny the flip. Nah, nobody needs to learn how to do that flip. I get nervous anytime I see Denis do that flip because to me, every time I see it, my knee pops. My knee explodes just watching it. But so endearing. And then again, it just goes back to what I was saying moments ago. They're having fun. This team is having fun. Son interjected himself into this lineup and into this locker room in the most humblest and classiest of fashions. Denis, by all accounts, could have taken that goal. Had he scored it, we all would have cheered just the same. But he didn't. And you made an interesting reference on the last pod. Denis actually has quite a few assists that we don't give him credit for. I forget what the stat was exactly. Too many nights in between of, well, we'll just leave it at that. But an incredible exchange. These two are dangerous. The Step Brothers thing that Lucky's created on social media, by the way, hilarious. And a hat trick? Are you kidding me? 2 straight games where LAFC have scored a hat trick. First Denis in Santa Clara. Now Sonny in Sandy, Utah. At this rate, I feel bad for what's going to happen to RSL this weekend. I mean, they looked amazing up top.
Philly, the front flip, the camera celebration, just everything. And by the way, shout out to Imad at Imad Shoots. He took some incredible photos of that celebration afterwards. LAFC has such a ridiculous abundance of incredible talent shooting matches week in and week out. But to have somebody like Imad be able to capture that, we have so many great team photographers that really tell this club's story better than any club out there. It was absolutely incredible. The crowd was booing in Sandy, Utah at the 86th minute when David Martinez, poor David Martinez, by the way, he comes in Santa Clara, 30,000 people leave. He comes in Sandy, Utah, he gets booed. I mean, I feel bad for the guy. Yaya Boa comes on for Marky Delgado, but David Martinez, he's got to be like, hey, I'm here too.
Cue in your Rodney Dangerfield. I get no respect. When I walk in the room, mice jump on chairs. Like, that's how David Martinez is feeling these days. And yeah, I'm dating myself with Rodney Dangerfield. What can I say? I mean, there's kids in this chat here that, man, born like the years you and I graduated college. It's kind of weird getting older. And I'm feeling very young as I'm wearing my Indiana Hoosiers hat. And when's the last time you saw me pull out a fraternity koozie scarf? It's been a while. I'm excited. The Hoosiers are going to be coming into town to play UCLA and USC. For those wondering why I give a hoot, I went to Indiana. That's the story there. But LAFC's having fun. Denis got the dime to Sonny. And screw you to all the people that's saying like Denis a ball hog. Again, so is Michael Jordan. So is LeBron James. So is Kobe Bryant. But they scored. And guess what? Denis scores. And he did it again in the 82nd minute, Scarf. LAFC in transition. Talk to us about that.
I mean, David Martinez. He did
I
it.
can't get no respect.
It was because of David Martinez that Denis Bouanga is now sitting on 94. A beautiful touch to poke that ball to the center of the pitch. And as soon as Denis got it, look, Sonny subbed out 2 minutes ago, so there is no question in my mind the Alpha was headed for the slaughter. It was an incredible goal by Denis Bouanga taking the angle. And, oh, by the way, an incredible stat. We're in the 88th minute, and that was Denis Bouanga's first shot of the match. There is no greater way for him to have stamped out these 3 points than to be able to notch his name one goal above Carl. I wonder, by the way, Philly, I was thinking this as we were watching the game. Has this altered LAFC's celebration of Carlos Vela at all? Did they have like graphics planned and like tributes going and like LAFC's greatest scorer? Like I can hear Eric Smith having to like rewrite lines or like, well, I feel badly because like, Carlos kind of faded into obscurity a little bit. The club didn't help much by not saying anything for a little bit, but maybe that was I don't know what was going on. But now you got Denis, who you and I were talking, Philly, when he was sitting on 90. And now all of a sudden in 2 games, we blink and he's on 94, the all-time leading goal scorer in the history of this club. And Philly, not only I got the fun stat for you, first shot of the entire match, but the other fun stat for you of the 94 goals. I'm sure you saw this in the notes. So I'm going to ask you.
No, I didn't read your notes today, Scar.
Oh, which player out of Denis Bouanga's 94 goals has assisted on the most number of them?
Oof. It can't be Carlos.
Carlos Vela, 8 assists, is the most of anybody to have assisted on Denis Bouanga goals. 8 assists. Number 2 is Matty Bogusz at 6. So the 2 guys that have assisted.
I was going to guess Timmy Tillman, considering he's been around the entire Bouanga era, but interesting.
No, Carlos Vela with 8 assists out of those 90.
That seemed almost too easy.
Right? I'm with you.
Where do these stairs go? They go up. That seemed way too easy.
They go up.
Way too easy. But again, like LAFC is just having a good time, and we're all having a good time. And the question has to be asked. I mean, obviously, I'm not one of them, and I'm not one of them. I'm not a dolo out guy, but we know he's going out. At some point, you have to ask yourself, did he have the personnel that he needed to succeed this season? Because the minute Sonny comes into the lineup, seems like a whole different team, firing on a whole different wavelength. LAFC never had trouble finding opportunities to score. Go, if you have the time, if you feel so compelled, if you look at the amount of shots that LAFC take per game and shots on target, LAFC was consistently in a position, the exception of maybe 1 or 2 games. They were always in a position to score. Now with Denis being the only one who could, that's a lot of pressure. And the man's not going to do it all the time. But now you add another proven goal scorer, and one that won the Golden Boot, by the way, in the Premier League, which is no easy feat considering how physical they are there. Now all the pieces are there. If honestly we can only shore up the midfield a little bit, and it sucks that our back line is mitigated to what it is. Aaron Long obviously showed how important he was, because once he left, things have been a little shaky in the center back role. Although Kosi Tafari is starting to kind of get the hang of it, but he is no Aaron Long. Did they have the pieces on the chessboard to go ahead and actually call checkmate consistently? Or is Sonny really the piece to call checkmate? Because at this rate, we still have a chance. If we continue to win, we still have a chance to claim the West. We do need some help. But there's no doubt in my mind that LAFC finishes top 4 and secures a home playoff spot. And at that point, I feel as if like all bets are off. At that point, I feel like we're going to destroy San Diego and anybody else who comes in our way.
I'll say this. I think a player the caliber of Son Heung-min doesn't come into this league very often, right? And I think obviously Steve Cherundolo being given the keys to that Ferrari looks a little better either way. In fact, I'll say this. If they weren't clicking like this, you should really be asking, should Steve Cherundolo be the one with the keys to that Ferrari? But now you give him a guy like Son Heung-min at the top in tandem with Denis Bouanga. But he's also done it making a formation change, right? This isn't a 4-3-3. This isn't the typical 5 in the back and kind of figuring out the midfield with 2. And I want to say one other thing that I think has really helped. We talked about it with Timothy Tillman getting a new contract and how we thought Timmy Tillman's new role in this is really important. I'm going to say something that actually could be even more controversial than some of the other stuff we've said.
Oh, do tell.
Igor Jesus was not an offensive-minded midfielder. And I am not saying that the 20-year-old midfielder was the wrong fit for the offense that we were trying to run, because remember, that offense was stuck in neutral because of Olivier Giroud for quite some time. But Mathieu Chonière has really done some amazing things to get us moving offensively, at least just by the eye test. I would love to go a little bit deeper on this to see if that's really true, but maybe those numbers are also going to be skewed because now he's getting a ton of playing time because Sonny is getting a ton of playing time. But I don't want to harp on the kid because Igor Jesus was like our best player for like 10 matches into the season. He was a revelation. He and Marquis Delgado saved us many times throughout the early parts of our season. But a player like Mathieu Chonière, who's been a little bit more offensively minded, and Sonny, I think now Steve Cherundolo has some different ingredients in the cupboard so that he can make a pretty good cake. That's for sure.
Yeah. And then we also we talk about the defenders. Ryan Porteous is looked pretty solid too. He's made some really good plays. So this gumbo or this jambalaya of black and gold soup, I guess. I don't know. That's stupid.
Sure.
It's starting to look pretty darn good. And honestly, it's starting to taste really good, but not for opposing teams. Things are coming around. And, I wouldn't be shocked at this point if we do make a deep run. I said for the longest time prior to the transfer window closing that I didn't think LAFC was long for the playoffs. But that is we have significant changes. And look, there's players that we brought in that haven't even trained with us. I do think this team, if showing against RSL is going to be one thing, and obviously, you got St. Louis on the run, a couple more games, but I think LAFC is going to be a really tough team to contend with. And as it stands, you start getting hot late in the season, you could do some damage. You look at the Seattle Sounders and their success when they won MLS Cup. They weren't a team that was consistently on top of the Western Conference. Brian Schmetzer just got them got them hot at the right time. And from what I've seen, in particular with what we've done on the road, we look good. And we're even better at home. So to me, that it's all starting to align. Things are starting to feel like they did in 2022 and for a good portion of 2023 again. And I'm very optimistic again, which is really, really cool to say because I haven't really been all season.
You've come all the way around on that one for sure. Stoppage time, by the way, was rather eventful. A red card for Victor Olatunji for a headbutt on Artem Smolyakov. By the way, Artem Smolyakov getting some more minutes has really helped our offensive prowess as well. That kid is special. And I do want to say our last shot on target came from Andy Morin with this nice little back to the basket, kind of received the ball, turn, fire. He got a lot on it. I thought that was a nice little play there for Andy Morin. I'll say this about the match, Philly. If I could nitpick for just a minute, RSL did create 2.9 XG. 2.9 XG in the match and clearly got a little unlucky, and LAFC played very well. But I do want to mention one thing. In open play, LAFC created 2.32 XG, RSL less than 1. Obviously, they get like 0.7 or 0.8 for a PK, right? So that one went by the wayside. You take that out, maybe they didn't play as well as I think they did. But look, we gave them 58% of the ball, Philly, and they were able to create XG But just like so many of y'all have been pissed about Steve Cherundolo for, Pablo Mastroeni can't score any of those damn goals for RSL, right? It's got to be the players on the pitch. LAFC only generated, by the way, 0.03 XG off set pieces. We got to talk just a little bit about set pieces, Philly. I thought our set piece defense was poor-ish, even though we didn't allow a goal on it. And I thought our set piece offensive prowess was god-awful.
They had 12 corners, and they controlled possession. But like you said, they lacked a lot of punch, and where we were absolutely incredible and ruthless for that matter was transition. But that's not anything new. We've always been good in transition. And then obviously the chemistry between Son and Bawanga. I mean, they shredded everybody in front. That's something that needs to get shored up for sure. The set piece defense. I feel like that's been something you could go back to 2018 and find some problem with LAFC set piece defense, even under the days of Bob Bradley. But despite the fact that, you think it was abysmal, they didn't concede off of that. I mean, it just took a lucky, weird rebound and a ricochet for that scissor kick to happen. And then, dumb foul in the box by Hollingshead. But I think things are getting better. You have two center backs that are just getting accustomed to one another. Tafari is starting to get it. Tafari has contributed offensively as well. And Ryan Porteous has played, less than a half a dozen games? So there's still chemistry and communication that needs to be figured out in the back. Obviously, Ryan Hollingshead and Sergi Palencia on the outside, that's not anything that you question because they know what the deal is. The question is within the center, which is, you got two of the biggest guys on defense. In that scenario, during set piece, they'll get it figured out. As we get closer to the playoffs, it'll get figured out. And this is me being hopeful, which, like you said, I've gone completely 180 from my initial thoughts halfway. Throughout.
Yeah, look, Tafari was the one marking Gozo on that goal, but I'll say this. You can mark a guy, but you're not going to think he's going to provide a sidewinder on you like that. I don't put that too much on Nkosi Tafari. One other last little stat that bugged me a little bit as I was kind of combing through everything, Philly, is yes, we allowed 21 shots, but I'm not worried about allowing 21 shots. If they're outside the box, it's no big deal. We allowed 15 shots inside our own box. 15 shots. Now, very few of them made their way to Hugo Lloris. But how many times, Philly, in pressure situations, have we seen a shot deflect off of an arm or in an awkward way that leads to a penalty, something like that? That's that comment wins. I don't care.
That's a t-shirt right there. Dexter, Dexter, we know you're listening. Dexter, our graphic designer, get on that. What's a Giroud? By the way, Sonny in 6 games already has more goals than Giroud did in 38?
Yeah, 4-3. 4-3. He's leading in goals. Look, Philly, our next match, September 21st at BMO Stadium, Noche de Carlos Vela, a fan fest before the match, a t-shirt giveaway, special items at LAFC HQ, a pregame ceremony, post-match fireworks, cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. I can't wait for Noche de Carlos Vela, Philly. It's going to be a fun one at BMO.
I just hate evening games on a Sunday. Yeah. Then again, I say that from the perspective of an ex-financial advisor. I'm now a sports exec. You know what? Bring it. I can't wait myself.
I still have to teach Monday morning, so I don't love these night games on a Sunday. That's for sure.
I'm tapped out. The only thing I will say left is RSL does not stand for Real Salt Lake. And it's going to be the same case on Sunday and on Monday when we do a podcast recapping RSL again. RSL is an acronym for it really sucks losing, because that's exactly what's going to happen to you sandy, salty bastards from Utah. We're going to whoop your ass on Sunday. And that's the bottom line, because Philly 316 said so as I dropped something.
I don't know what you just dropped. Don't forget, it's Thursday. In just 2 days, we'll be doing One More Sleep again about RSL. And then 2 days later from that, we'll have episode 383 talking about what we hope are 3 more points coming home from BMO Stadium. I said we had to get all 12 points if we wanted to make our run from this gauntlet of 4 games in 15 days. San Jose on the 13th, 3 points. RSL on the 17th, 3 points. Both of those are on the road. If we get these 3 from RSL, we head to one of the worst teams in Major League Soccer, St. Louis, and that's going to be a fun one, you guys. Thank you all so much. However it is that you access Defenders of the Bank content, thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to remind everybody again, this is an LAFC jersey. Just Philly, I don't care what Philly says. It's got the LAFC crest.
They stole it off Vancouver's design team.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys know how we like to end each and every one of these. We'll see you back in just a couple of days.
Bye-bye.
Bye.